Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday, May the 11th, 2026. I hope you're all safe and healthy today, and that your families are safe and healthy, that you enjoyed your weekend, and that the needs of you and your families, including food, shelter, clothing, and health, are being met today. Happy Mother's Day belated to all the mothers in the crowd. Before we get into that, blessings upon those that work in the area of health, along with first responders, doing everything they can to save lives. Those also that pick up garbage, keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children, victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Those that are helping the victims of prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, profiteers, and perverts that create demands that cause these evil industries to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, and military veterans homeless in the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was a basketball game in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania last night. The New York Knicks closed out their series against the Sixers 144-114, and it wasn't even that close. What most people are failing to understand, because the narratives are wrong and stupid and they're not paying attention. Like, I just saw somebody on Ian Begley's site, some idiot from New York, that claimed last week the Knicks were going to lose in 7 to the Sixers. Claimed because Joel Embiid was so dangerous and so healthy. And I've been saying, and it's still the case, that as long as they go through Karl-Anthony Towns, it's almost impossible to beat the Knicks if they're on their game. The reason that you saw so many three-pointers go down yesterday for the Knicks, and again, Deuce McBride led the Knicks in scoring yesterday, and he led the Knicks in scoring because the floor was open. There was a lot of spacing. The reason there's going to continue to be a lot of spacing is because the ball is going through Cat. When Cat has the basketball, it opens up the floor. He and is not on the blocks. He should get the ball. He should get it where he's getting it. At the top of the key would be ideal, but they've been taking that away, as the Sixers were, and he's been getting it at the three-point line on the side of the court. But it's still the same thing. Cat catches the ball at 7 feet with a 7-foot wingspan. He raises the ball over his head, and he's looking for cutters. Everybody is cutting. That causes the defense to try to react to the cutters. If they don't, he finds the open cutter. Yesterday, by the time we got to halftime, Cat already had 9 assists. By the time we got to halftime, he finished the game with 10. Game was over by the third quarter. It was over before the end of the third quarter. And they were talking already, when is he going to clear out? That is Brown going to clear out his bench, because the game was over by the end of the third. The Knicks actually went up by 40 at some point. Okay, that's when I knew it was done. 20 is the first step, and then sustaining that or going up 30, it's over, and especially in the playoffs. So they were up 40. I knew the game was over. At that point, we're looking like, okay, we don't want any of our guys to get hurt, but we don't want to put the bench unit in too soon. So Mike basically started subbing in the bench unit at the end of the third quarter, okay, and then they played the whole fourth quarter. But if you look at the three-pointers, we were talking about three-pointers, the Knicks put up 44 and hit 25 or 44 three-pointers, 57%, and Philly shot 35 three-pointers, hit 8 of 35. The thing is that the floor was open for the Knicks because of Karl-Anthony Towns. So therefore, you giving a guy like Jalen Brunson and Deuce McBride wide open practice three-pointers, which they were nailing. Then you have Mikal Bridges continuing offensively to cut and hit open seams, and Karl-Anthony Towns finding him to hit open seams in the defense. Then defensively, even better, the Knicks have been more locked down because they don't have to spend as much energy offensively. The ball is moving. And then they put more energy on the defensive end. So what you're going to see going forward when they play Detroit in the finals of the Eastern Conference, which the Knicks are now officially in the Eastern Conference Finals. Once they play Detroit in the Eastern Conference Finals, I feel like Detroit's going to beat Cleveland. Detroit's going to try to take the ball out of Cat's hands. Last year, they were taking the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hands, and he's fighting them. It's a little bit tougher with Cat because Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Deuce McBride, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, they bring the ball up against pressure. Get the ball to Cat, and then the offense starts. Usually with about 15, 16 seconds left on the clock, which is plenty of time. And so if Cat is passing the way he's passing, when he loves to do it, it's difficult to guard the Knicks because it's difficult to guard Cat. You have to double him. And if you do, he'll find the open man. That's the difference. He can see over the defense and he can find the open man. This is what makes a Cade Cunningham or an SGA very difficult to guard because at 6'7", 6'8", they can see over the defense and see cutters. The advantage that Cat has is that he's 7 feet. He could do all that and then hit the three. So it's hard to guard him. So what the best defense against Cat is to try to get him in foul trouble, which they called some ridiculous calls against him yesterday. Ridiculous calls. And he ended up with 5 fouls. About 3 of them were stupid calls. So, but we just dealt with it and moved on. He never fouled out the game, but he only needed to play 20 minutes. 17 points. He had 10 assists and 4 boards in 17 minutes, basically less than 2 quarters. And that was the ball game. Okay, it was a runaway. And so if the Knicks continue to play Knick basketball on defense and offensively go through towns, they could play with anybody. They could play with anybody because Cat is pretty much at the peak of his prime right now. And because of that, and he'll be there for like this season and next season. That's why I keep telling y'all the window's open, but you got a couple of seasons. It ain't like we in a rush. Some of y'all start tripping and jumping off bridges for a losing streak need to calm down. Over the long term, we might lose to Detroit in December or February and March. But this is May. You done turned on Mikal Bridges. See, Mikal, the playoffs, the ball movement, and Dyson Daniels turned Mikal Bridges on. So now he doing finger rolls and yelling F you to everybody. That's a problem for the opponents. We didn't even use OG Anunoby in the 2 games. We didn't even use OG. So now OG's going to be back healthy for the next weekend when we're going to play Detroit, in Detroit. And then you still got Deuce, you still got Shamet, you still got Mitchell Robinson, who was a monster again yesterday. He hit his foul shot. You still got all of the cast. And that's why when everybody was yelling about OG's out, oh no, what's going to happen? OG's out. Deuce is going to hit 7 of 10, 7 of 9 from the 3-point line. That's what's going to happen. See, and going to play lockdown defense. That's what's going to happen. Okay, so the opening of the floor because of Cat makes Brunson more dangerous. When Brunson was in Dallas and he scored over 40 in the series against the Utah Jazz, the reason he was doing that is because Dallas played a 5-out offense. The ball was open. Defensively, they tried to hide Jalen Brunson. Now, Brunson has gotten a little better defensively, but because it's harder to hide him, they will hunt him. But Cat has gotten a lot better on pick and roll defense, a lot better. So we'll play under on pick and roll defense a lot. And a guy like Cade is going to have a lot of open looks on the 3-point shot. And we'll have to try to live with that. It's going to be a tough series against Detroit. But this is the last hill to climb in the Eastern Conference, And so generally, your Villanova boys, Brunson, Hart, Mikal, the bigger the game, the better they are, especially the playoffs. And the more they come together and ball. So, and then again, you still got Cat, and you still got OG, and you still, the Knicks are going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough out. So everybody stays healthy. Hopefully you play Knicks basketball, which means you protect your paint, you invade their paint. Although Jalen Brunson hit 6 of 10 3-pointers yesterday, and he shot 17 shots, which is excellent. He shot 17 shots, and so 7 of his shots, the other 7 were in the paint. Okay, the other 7 were in the paint. Mikal Bridges yesterday was 6 of 10. He was 0 for 2 from 3. That means the 6 shots he got were in the paint. The more you could get in the paint of the opponent, the better chance you have of winning. Cat is not in the paint because he's running the offense. He's running the offense from the top of the key or from the side, from the 3-point line, as he should be. And he's opening up the floor. If you give Jalen Brunson one-on-one coverage against anybody, it's pretty much a wrap. He is completely the most craftiest point guard in the NBA. Okay, he's not the tallest, he's not the most athletic, in the NBA. But in terms of craftiness and footwork, he's better than all of them. K and SGA, they all great players, but they're not on Brunson's class level in terms of footwork. So with the ball in Cat's hands, the floor opens up offensively, and now you're just basically having shooting practice. They become Curry's Golden State Warriors. They become Splash Brothers at that point, which is what they did yesterday. And it wasn't the first time, or it might have been the third time in these playoffs since Atlanta that they've done it like this. Okay? And again, we got so many weapons. Yesterday was Deuce. The game before that, it was Shamet. It could be Mikal. It could be OG. It could be Cat himself. As long as Cat is in the game, every opponent has a problem. And their only goal is to foul him out. That's all they could do. If they let Cat play, it's a wrap. Okay? It's a wrap. So Detroit is going to try to get the ball out of Cat's hands. They're going to try to guard Brunson 94 feet. We negate that by having somebody else bring the ball up and passing the ball over the timeline. Then they get it to Cat. Then there's cutters. That's where the game begins. On defense, they're going to try to attack Cat and Brunson. They're going to try to attack our paint, especially with Cade Cunningham. Very difficult to get out of the paint, Cade Cunningham. And he's extremely good at hitting that shot from 12, 15 feet. Extremely good. So it's going to be a battle. Basically, though, the weakness of Detroit is they don't have as many weapons that can handle the rock like the Knicks do. They have Cade that can handle the rock. They got the other boy, I think his name is... what's the boy's name? They got another boy, a rookie kid. What's the boy's name? Dennis something. Don't tell me. Don't type it in my. Please don't type it. It's Dennis something. But they got Dennis Jenkins. Yeah, he's tough. He can handle the rock. Cade can handle the rock. And that's pretty much it. Duncan Robinson is catching suit. Asar Thompson, really not a ball handler in terms of point guard. His twin brother tried to be in Houston. That's why they out. That's why they on vacation. And then you got Tobias Harris, another. He doesn't take a lot of steps. He's very efficient, very dangerous shooter, but he's not a playmaker. Okay. Then Duran, of course. They got Beef Stew, Javante Green. All of these are spot-up shooters, which is what you want. This is how the Bucks won the chip a few years ago. They had a whole bunch of spot-up shooters around Giannis. That's how they won the chip. So here, Cade is the Giannis. He's the dude in the middle. He's the ball handler. And then they got Dennis Jenkins coming in behind him. So that's going to be the danger. Whereas the Knicks is Brunson. Mikal can move with the ball. Hart, OG, Deuce, Shamet, Alvarado, they could all move with the basketball. You could give them the ball, they can make plays. All of them. Okay? So that's what makes the Knicks more dangerous in these playoffs. Last night we saw what Orlando, I saw the game, what San Antonio was like without Wembanyama. They might not even be a player. They're really a good team, but I wouldn't put them in those semifinals of the Western Conference without Wembanyama. So Wembanyama gets tossed out for the ball he threw on Nas, and Minnesota ekes out a win. They were, San Antonio was gutsy. They was. And they'll probably win that series. Because Wembanyama, you don't expect him to get kicked out again. But you need a superstar like that. Everything that's around San Antonio is built around Victor Wembanyama. And they smart. They did it while Victor was still a rookie. While they knew they were getting him, they built around him for what's going on now. And he's going to get even better. Okay, so we ain't done with Wembanyama. He's going to be better. And so you still got De'Aaron Fox. You got Castle. You got a number of players, around Wembanyama. But they're built to be around him. The team is built around him. He is a force because of his height and his athleticism. He is a force at the 5. He's basically the Western Conference's version of Cat. He's a force at the 5. So, and he's more athletic than Cat, more nimble. He could shoot the 3 with, just as much efficiency. And he obviously at 7'4", he sees the floor. So Castle, Fox, Vassell, Champagne, Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, Dylan Harper, they're built to be around Victor Wembanyama. Last night, Luke Cornett did a very good job filling in for Wembanyama. He tried his best. He really did try his best, but it just wasn't enough for them to overcome Ant, Juju, and them, on a Minnesota team that is playing without Ragu, that is, shorthanded also. But they won that game. So they tied the series 2-2. The good thing about that is at 2-2, that series is going at least 6 games, which means they're going to play again tomorrow, Tuesday. They're going to play again either Thursday or Friday. So that series continues. If Cleveland can come out with a dub tonight against Detroit, it'll be 2-2. That series right now is guaranteed to go 5, which means the best that could happen for Detroit is they win tonight and they win Wednesday and end the series. The Knicks start with them on the weekend. And a worst case scenario, they lose tonight. It's 2-2. So then they're going to play again on Wednesday and again on the weekend. So the Knicks just getting ready. Now, we don't want the Knicks to have too much rest. We want them to be completely healthy, but we need them to go in the flow while they still going, So I would like them to start playing next weekend. So I guess I'm hoping that Detroit just ends this thing Wednesday and they both start in Detroit, probably Sunday. That'd be best for us. But for all of the haters that was hating, listen, everybody jumps on board when the train is moving. And everybody could see the train going forward. But for those of us that are real and knew this team was going to be like this, we the real fans. The haters in the media, y'all should stop listening to them. Everybody could jump on board when they're good, when everybody sees they're good. You got to see they're good before everybody else. We knew the Knicks was good before the season started. We knew the championship window was open, and we have still this season, next season, and the season after that with Cat. We also knew that Philly should have traded Embiid 2 years ago and not signed him to the 3-year max extension. That was a bad move. Now they stuck with him, and he's a part-time player. And even now, as a part-time player, Cat is better than him. Wembanyama is better than him. Chet Holmgren is better than him. He ain't the top dog to be getting all that money, and he's a part-time guy. Now, he's elite when he does play, but when does he play? See? He was playing pretty good yesterday. I mean, he was playing pretty good yesterday. I think he was like, let me take a look at the stats. I think if you look at the stats from yesterday, look at the box score in terms of Embiid. In the box score, Embiid was 8 for 8 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3. Damn commercial. 8 for 8 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3. He was minus 24. Because he couldn't do anything with the bigs of the Knicks. He couldn't do anything with them. Okay? And so you're paying a guy between $55 and $60 million a year for the next 3 seasons. And he's a part-time player. If I'm Daryl Morey, I'm giving away the store to try to get him off my team. And try to get a guy like Hartenstein. Okay, they'd have been a much tougher out with Hartenstein. Okay, but that's their problem. Right now, the Don, they done set up the Knicks. The Knicks team is complete. All y'all kept calling for trades and stuff are stupid. There's a lot of unbalanced people out there. And so it was amazing. Even Charles Barkley and Shaq was amazed at the stupidity of Knicks fans when they go to a lose streak. Trade everybody, fire everybody. So stupid. But you got to look longer term. When they got Cat, the window was open. And Cat, at the time they got him, had 4 years left on his deal. So the window is 4 years. Cat just finishing his 2nd year right now. The window is still open. And it's obvious now to everybody. The Knicks are a top 4 team in the NBA. As they've proven being the first team to get to the conference finals. They're waiting for everybody else. They've been a top 4 team in the league. They just needed time to gel. New York don't like to give you time to gel. And part of that, cutting off that noise, was the Don. He wasn't having no press conferences to explain anything to anybody. He didn't need to. He knew what he was doing. We just let it gel. Mike Brown, to me, was under the most pressure of any coach in the league. A team just came from the Eastern Conference Finals last year and lost in 6. He had to get him back to that. Well, here we be. Okay, here we be. And Brown said back in February that he looks forward to devising defensive schemes against Detroit. I'm expecting OG to guard Cade. I'm expecting OG to beat, because OG's full 6'7", got enough strength. Cade is strong and tall. Got enough strength to handle him, got enough agility to deal with him. I'm expecting Mikal to be out there on Tobias Harris, their pro-level shooter from Detroit. The rest of the 3-on-3 is going to be interesting. I don't know who Cat's going to guard, if it's Duran or it'll be another guy. I don't know who Hart's going to guard. Hart will probably guard, I don't even know, or maybe a short Thompson, because maybe you could put Brunson on Thompson. Thompson, if Brunson was guarding him, Thompson would try to get to the basket. Very athletic wing. Can't shoot though, especially in the playoff. Very athletic wing though. He would try to get to the basket and get a post up on Brunson, which is going to require rotation help. And the Knicks have been excellent in their rotations in the whole playoffs. They've been excellent in their rotations. So if the Knicks can handle that, we'd be good. But I'm thinking if that's the case, the Knicks are good. That's probably how they're going to flow on this. So you're going to have, probably you're going to have OG on Cade. You're probably going to have Hart on Tobias. You're probably going to have Cat either going to be on Duran or on Robinson. And then you're going to have Hart guard and Thompson. And then, of course, you're going to have, I'd rather have Brunson on somebody that likes to hang at the three-point line, which would be Robinson. I'd probably have Brunson on him. And then having Hart on Thompson, right? But we'll be all right. We'll be all right. To me, it's Detroit's second unit that's a real problem. Their first unit is tough, but Paul Reed, Beef Stew, Wendell Moore, Ron Holland, Javonte Green, the second unit, LeVert, Jenkins, that's what makes them a championship contender, the second unit. And that's what we're going to do. It's a good thing the Knicks got a tremendous second unit in Deuce, MitchRob, Shamet. We got a second unit too, but that's what makes Detroit tough. That's what got them to 60 wins this year. The second unit was rough. And then when K went down with the collapsed lung, here come Jenkins, and they didn't even miss a beat. That's how tough their second unit is. So, yeah. And they played like in the last game when they lost to Cleveland. They played 5 guys rotation minutes. Stewart, Reed, Green, LeVert, and Jenkins all got rotation minutes against Cleveland. And that's not going to be uncommon. You're going to see the Detroit coach, JB, probably go 5 deep on the bench. Probably go 10, 9, 10 on the bench. That's what they're going to do. And the Knicks can go 9, 10 as well, because the 10th guy will be like an Alvarado. That'll be your 10th guy. But it's going to be a hell of a series, I'll tell you right now. If the Knicks are very successful against Detroit, I'll be surprised. I'm not saying they can't beat them, but I'm telling you it ain't going to be easy. Okay? It ain't going to be no easy out. I know Shaq said they could sweep everybody, but let's not get carried away. They could sweep teams that don't have no answer for Cat. Detroit does. And that's the difference. Detroit does. More than any other team, Detroit has an answer for Cat. But that's not going to stop Cat from being a playmaker. But it's going to be more difficult for him. It's going to be more difficult. Detroit has the ability between Reed, Beef Stew, Duran. They got Thompson. They got the ability to put more pressure on Cat, and that's going to be a difference maker. But it's going to be a hell of a series, New York, Detroit. So right now, not tonight. It's a 2-1 lead for Detroit. They're going to play their second game in Cleveland tonight, and then they go back to Detroit for Wednesday. And so we'll see what happens. But if Cleveland can win tonight and the series goes 2-2, it's a 6-game series. Minimum. If Detroit beats Cleveland tonight, it could be over Wednesday. Okay, so we'll see. But we are in good shape. The Knicks in the catbird seat right now. Everybody gets treatment. Everybody gets better, gets in terms of health-wise, and they get to work on what they're going to do against Detroit. Now, tonight will determine if they do that. If Detroit wins tonight, Brown and Cruz should start looking at Detroit film right away. If Detroit loses to Cleveland, you might have to be looking at both because Cleveland's still in it. Okay, so we'll see. But we can sit back and watch and get ready. And that's what we're going to do. Y'all, I'm glad you all enjoyed your weekend. I'm glad your mothers enjoyed her weekend. And everybody's safe and healthy. Enjoy your Monday. Here we go. So